The explosives return to the Tennessee offense, and boy, does it need it to be a college football playoff team. Tennessee is going to have to outscore everybody.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Cain. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols a part of your morning routine, your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time, where you can download the Game Time app, create an account, put in a redeem code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Get a big shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Got a lot to discuss here on a Monday morning. Oklahoma week is here. You know it's a big week for Josh Heupel. That's coming up later in the show as we kind of set the scene for Vols and Sooners. Pro Football Focus stats that matter. Box score stats are one thing, but stats that actually matter. Snap counts, coverage grades, passing depth, all that and more is going to come up here in a little bit. But first, before any of that, some Monday takes. Now that we had to sleep on it for at least 2 nights here on Tennessee's win over Kentucky, we're going to take our Monday takes, some afterthoughts for Tennessee's 6th win of the season and 3rd win in conference play. Don't forget, Twitter Tuesday is coming up tomorrow, so Twitter Tuesday, Talk to Me Tuesday, whatever you want to phrase it. Send in those questions at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. All right, so Tennessee, a winner, 56-34. Obviously, way too many points scored. Way too many points scored. Goodness gracious, 56-34. And again, I'll get to it in a moment. But, we've talked about on this show already, like, you are who you are. And Tennessee's an offense that is capable of scoring a ton of points, capable of, man, when you're playing man-to-man on the outside, it's over. I do not know why Kentucky continue to play man-to-man on the outside. It makes no sense to me. When you play 3 high safeties, Tennessee's got to get a little bit creative, maybe not as many explosives down the field, but they do mix some things up in the intermediate and interior. But when you're not playing that 3 high and you're manning up on the outside, it's over. And Tennessee showed why that's over in a big way against Kentucky. But you are who you are. You're going to score a lot of points, and you are going to allow a lot of points. And the defense was a story in the first half. I'll get to that here in a moment. But, I mean, literally allowed 2 touchdowns, created 2 touchdowns. It's just kind of been the story of the year for a Tennessee football team. But a couple points I want to bring up. The middle 8, I thought the most important touchdown of this football game came right before the halftime break when Tennessee really allowed Kentucky to march down the field in one of its worst defensive series of the game. And, yes, I know you allowed a 72-yarder and a 51-yarder, whatever it was. But this is one of the worst defensive series of the game because they death by 1,000 paper cuts. They just kept on moving down the field. Wildcats scored just before the half, about under 2 minutes, 96 yards on 16 plays, 137 left on the clock. It was a drive that took 8:35 off the clock. On that series, Kentucky managed to convert on 3 of 4 third downs. They converted on a 4th down. Tennessee just could not get off the field. And where Tennessee had a 21-point lead, it was cut to within 7. And this is the only point in the ballgame where I'm like, oh, that's going to get sideways a little bit. Like, Tennessee, it was in control. Sure, it wasn't perfect, especially on defense, but Tennessee was in control the entire time. This was the only point in the ballgame where I'm like, oh, this can get sideways. A 21-point first-half lead cut to 7 with 1:37 on the clock. And, oh, yeah, Kentucky gets the football after the break. So I'm like, yikes, what does Tennessee have in store? Well, Tennessee marches down the field, 75 yards, 10 plays, 132, scoring with 5 seconds left in the half, running the 2-minute offense excellent, and that's about time, right? That's been a struggle, all year long. It's been a struggle dating back to the Mississippi State game. It was a 24-yard pass from Joey Aguilar to Braylon Staley that really got things in motion, and then it set up a 13-yard set up to Ethan Davis on a seam route over 2 defenders. Great throw, and it's good to see Ethan Davis find the end zone in his return since week 2. So that was fantastic to see. What a response. What an effort to get back in the end zone, push that lead back out to 14 at 35-21 heading into the halftime break. And then, Kentucky does get the football coming out. Tennessee forces a punt after 6 plays, 23 yards. Ethan Utley, the freshman, a really nice play there on 3rd down. And though it's technically outside the middle 8 because Tennessee scored with 10:40 on the clock, so we're outside the middle 8 by 20 seconds, I'm going to count it because Joey Aguilar just, and how I love to phrase it, F it, Matthew's down there somewhere and just throws it up, right? he did that earlier in the season, and he kind of did that here, the double cover, but he bent back to the middle of the field where the safety was just in no man's land. It was actually a really good throw by Aguilar, noticing the safety was nowhere, throwing it inside, and a great adjustment by Mike Matthews. 2 plays, a 62-yard strike, and Tennessee scores. Tennessee dominated the middle 8, and I thought that was a really, really big, important aspect of this football game. Feast or famine. Again, first half, like Tennessee's defense created 2 takeaways that led to 14 points. The Idris Farouk pick 6. What a fantastic football play. Applying pressure off the edge, playing some games up front, gets up. He's not going to get there. Gets his hands up, bats the football in the air, comes down with it himself, and then runs to pay dirt. What a good football play. What a great football play. And then Tennessee just staying after it, ripping the football out in what looked like not SEC on a Saturday night. It looked like NFL Street, or it looked like backyard football when Tennessee, forced a fumble. Kentucky picks it up, forced a fumble again. Then Boo Carter forces the last fumble, and it was a really good play there by Boo. And Jaden Perlotti recovers the fumble. Tennessee set up inside the 5, and then Deshaun Bishop, or inside the 10, and then Deshaun Bishop scores on 2 plays later. So in the first half, Tennessee's defense created 2 takeaways that led to 14 points, but it also gave up a 71-yard bomb, and it gave up a 50-yard bomb, which is very frustrating. You had Cutter Boley, who became one of just 2 FBS quarterbacks to throw a pair of 50-yard plus touchdown passes against an AP-ranked team this season. Does anybody know who the other quarterback was? The other quarterback that's done that this year, throwing 2 50-burgers, 50-yarders against an AP-ranked team, Joey Aguilar against Georgia. So Cutter Boley joined rare company with Joey Aguilar and doing it against Tennessee's defense in the first half. That's so frustrating. It's feast or famine, man, and you better hope Tennessee's sack numbers continue to get back to where they need to be, because the sacks hadn't been there hardly at all. It took 6 quarters plus for Tennessee to break that streak of getting a sack. Tennessee finally got in the backfield and brought down Cutter Boley in the third quarter. The sacks aren't there. The takeaways are there. Tied for first in FBS and defensive touchdowns. But boy, the TFLs better get back to where they need to be, and the sacks better get back to where they need to be, because at this point in the season, you're going to allow a ton of points. It just is what it is. You better separate yourself by getting home, creating takeaways, and setting up scores. And Tennessee did that in the first half. But, man, it's hard to overlook that second half. A couple of stats I want to end this segment number 1 with, because, it's just phenomenal in an effort in a game where you score 56 points. Tennessee had 3 wide receivers over the century mark for the first time since November 23rd, 2019. A friend of the program, Jarrett Garantano, accomplished that feat. Quarterback, 23 of 40 passes, 415. His receivers that had over 100 yards receiving that game, Josh Palmer, 124 yards. Juwan Jennings, 115. Marquez Callaway, 110. Against Kentucky a couple of nights ago, Tennessee did it again. Mike Matthews, 107 yards. Chris Brazel, 138 yards. Braylon Staley, 105 yards. It was great to see. Somebody told Heupel on that last drive, like, hey, Braylon's at 99 yards. Like, let's get him over 100. Let's make it 3. And so he drew up a play to get it to Braylon, and that was great to see. This is now the 9th individual 100-yard performance through the air this season for Tennessee, the 34th time in the Heupel era, and this is now the 3rd time that both Brazel and Matthews have accumulated 100 yards together in the same game. Brazel leads the SEC with 740 yards and 8 touchdowns. Staley ranks 4th in yards at 628. Matthews ranks 7th at 527. In conference games alone, Tennessee has 3 of the top 4 receivers in receiving yards. Brazel at 1, Braylon Staley at 2, and Mike Matthews at 4. Fantastic stuff. And then, Joey Aguilar. It just continues to get better, man. It just continues to get better. 6 passes of 20 yards or more down the field. One other one of 19 yards after no explosives in Tuscaloosa. 5 passes of 35 yards or more. Obviously a career high. And all these bombs set up scoring plays. And maybe I'll read them off here in a moment. But, truly, you get an explosive, you find the end zone. It's as simple as that, right? You look at what Joey Aguilar is doing in the SEC right now after arriving in May, playing in the Sun Belt, a former walk-on junior college player. He leads the conference in passing yards, 2,344, ranks 2nd in touchdowns with 18, and 2nd in quarterback rating. In conference games alone, Aguilar leads the league in passing yards, passer rating, yards per play, 20-plus yard passes, 30-plus yard passes, 40-plus yard passes. He's 2nd with 10 passing touchdowns in SEC games alone. Incredible stuff for Joey Aguilar. Man, the story just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. Pro Football Focus stats that actually matter. Snap counts, passing depth, coverage grades, blocking grades, all that and more. Missed tackles. That's coming up next as we continue on here. It's your Monday morning. Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more than a battle than sometimes the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use the Game Time app, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets and the best prices with no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. The app makes it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before I hit purchase. So I encourage you, take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Welcome back into your Monday morning Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you for being here. Oklahoma week has officially begun. We'll take a look one final time at the box score for Tennessee and Kentucky. But first, we got to get into Pro Football Focus stats that actually matter. If you're listening and not watching, here's what the grades look like. 90 to 99 is considered elite. 80 to 89 is very good. 70 to 79 is above average starter. 60 to 69 is average starter. Below average starter is 50 to 59, and if there is a grade below 50, that is considered a backup level player. Again, I don't necessarily buy into the grades at Pro Football Focus, but for those that do, that is the grading scale. I look at Pro Football Focus to see some of the in between the weeds type stats. You pull it up here for Tennessee and Kentucky, and Tennessee played 22 players on the offensive end. Joey Aguilar, the highest graded player at 91.3. He played 61 snaps. Chris Bradsell played 41 snaps. Mike Matthews, 50. Braylon Staley, 47. Radarius Jackson, good to see him get in there and get 20 snaps. That's big. That is big to take some snaps away for some of those wide receivers so their legs aren't so heavy in the fourth quarter of football games. That's big, seeing Jackson get back and get healthy. Ethan Davis, his first game since week 2, 22 snaps, and of course had a touchdown. They threw it to him a couple times on that drive before halftime, so I thought that was big and important. Good to see Ethan Davis log 22 snaps and have a pretty good grade per Pro Football Focus. Offensive line-wise, okay. Sham Umaro played 22 snaps. He did not start. First game all year he hasn't started. Wendell Moy played 61 snaps. Sam Pendleton, 46. Jesse Perry, 49. William Satterwhite, 15 off the bench. Where's Sam Pendleton? Sam Pendleton, 46. Did I say him? I might have said him. Lance Hurd, highest graded offensive lineman at 61. Just kidding. David Sanders at 66%. He played 51 snaps. So there was some good and some bad there from the offensive line. Let's look at some of the passing depth for Tennessee's Joey Aguilar. So Joey Aguilar in this football game, he was kept clean on 62% of his dropbacks, where he completed 15 of 18 passes, 2 touchdowns, 268. He was under pressure 37% of the time, 38% of the time, where he's 5 for 8, 128 yards and a touchdown. He was not blitzed 75% of the time, where he was 15 of 21 for 213, 2 touchdowns, and he was blitzed 24% of the time, where he was 5 for 7, 183 yards and a touchdown. I mean, those grades are good across the board. Joey Aguilar had himself a day in a week where he barely practiced because he's been banged up since that Alabama game. He was 51% off play action. He was 51% of his dropbacks were play action, RPO. 17% of his dropbacks were screens. The rest were 82%, obviously. He was, look at this, man. I love this stat. And again, we knew it, right? He was 5 for 5, passes 35-plus yards or more down the field. I mean, this is an elite stat. And the Pro Football Focus grade gives him at 99.9. Can you believe that? What an elite stat this is. And I wrote about it at VolQuest.com. The explosive plays were phenomenal for Joey Aguilar. But passes 20 yards or more down the field in this football game, Joey Aguilar was a perfect 7 for 7, 287 yards and 3 touchdowns. According to Pro Football Focus, you literally can't get any better. Literally, I don't think it gives 100%. I literally can't get any better. What a phenomenal day throwing down the field. Joey Aguilar in passes intermediate, 10 to 19 yards. He was 2 of 6 for 33 yards. Short, within 10 yards, he was 5 for 5, 42 yards. Behind the line of scrimmage, he was 6 for 8 for 34 yards. Again, stretching the field was excellent work for Joey Aguilar in this one. And Cutter Boley, again, man, it's like, goodness gracious. Cutter Boley had himself a day too, unfortunately, for Tennessee's defense. He was blitzed 37% of the time. He was kept clean on 77% of his dropbacks. Cutter Boley, just like Joey Aguilar, just kidding, not just like Joey Aguilar. He came into the game completing 2 passes of 20 yards or more down the field, and he was 2 for 3 in that category with 84 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. So he did a really, really good job throwing down the field. Whereas that's not really been stretching the field a part of his game so far this year. He was 4 for 5 in the intermediate, 11 for 16 in the short game, 9 for 10 behind the line of scrimmage. Cutter Boley had himself a day for sure. Let's look at, let's see here, snap counts, passing depths. Let's look at coverage grades real quick. Colton Hood, who didn't play the entire game, we'll have to check on his stat as the week goes along. He was targeted 3 times, gave up 2 receptions for 11 yards, so nothing doing there. Jaden Perlotti, who I thought played a fantastic game, he was targeted 3 times, gave up 1 reception. Ty Redmond targeted 8 times, gave up 5 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. Jalen McMurray was targeted 4 times, gave up 4 receptions, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Jalen McMurray, not a very good day in coverage. Idris Farouk targeted 3 times, gave up 2 receptions for 41 yards. Sidney Walton targeted 2 times, gave up 2 receptions, 20 yards. And Boo Carter targeted twice, gave up 2 receptions for 63 yards and 1 touchdown. That touchdown, he was beat on the double move, and it did not look good. Missed tackles. Tennessee missed 13 tackles in this football game, and I believe by my count that is 6 straight games where Tennessee has missed 10 or more tackles. That is not very good. Look at the defense overall. Tim Banks played 25 players. Don Bailey led the way with a 75.5% grade, no grade higher than 75. I think that shows you kind of how this game was. Idris Farouk had the second highest grade at 65 snaps, 74.9. Colton Hood, 46 snaps. Again, he missed a lot of the second half. Jaden Perlotti, give me more 27. I am a big fan of Jaden Perlotti. Love the fact that he played 40 snaps in this game. And sure, Arion Carter didn't play, so wait a lot more snaps for Perlotti. Jaden Harmon got in there as well. But Jaden Perlotti, man, 40 snaps. Sign me up for more of that. Harmon got 9 snaps. Edwin Spillman played 70 snaps, had 15 tackles. Thought he had I thought he was productive in terms of bringing the ball carrier down. Jeremiah Telander, 49 snaps. William Wright played 37 snaps at corner. Jordan Ross, 32 snaps. Joshua Josephs, 39 snaps. Bryson Eason, 33 snaps. Tyree West, 21 snaps. David Hobbs, 31 snaps. Jalen McMurray, 51 snaps. Caleb Beasley played more in this game than he has in the last month, 35 snaps. Jackson Moy, 37 snaps. Tyree Weathersby, 24 snaps. Nathan Robinson played a ton, 31 snaps. Andre Turrentine only played 46 snaps. A lot more of a rotation back there in this game. And again, they were scoring all over the place, so I get it. But it's been a while since I haven't seen an Andre Turrentine come off the field as much. And he came off the field plenty in this game. 46 snaps is all Andre Turrentine played. 21 snaps for Boo Carter. After the double move and the effort he gave, it was a lot of Jalen McMurray the rest of the way. Isaiah Campbell, 5 snaps. Ethan Utley, 13 snaps and 1 big third down stop. Sidney Walton, 16 snaps. And Caleb Herring, who I did not think played a very good game. He had twice. He was offsides. 21 snaps in this football game. So those are some of the snaps, some of the stats that I think are important to tell more than just the box score story. So we'll get into the box score here in a moment. But overall, Tennessee, not a very good effort. Opportunistic at times defensively, but still not getting home like you did to begin the season. Maybe getting back home at Neyland Stadium will help in that regard. 2 takeaways, which is great, led to touchdowns, one being a pick 6, but just inexcusable to allow that many yards, almost 500 yards of total offense. chances to get off the football field 4 times on a drive where they scored before the half, inexcusable, stuff like that. Again, same stuff, man, same stuff. We'll continue on. We'll look at the box score stories. Plus, we'll set the scene for Oklahoma week. That's coming up next as we continue on here. It's your Monday Lockdown Balls. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, great offer for new customers. FanDuel customers giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up today and get started at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel is where you can make every moment more. Final segment left here on this Monday morning Locked On Vols. Don't forget to send in anything you have for your mailbag question Tuesday at _Cainer at Locked On Vols. I know I miss a lot. I'm sorry, guys, especially with how busy baseball has been this last couple weeks. More on that here in a moment. We got a lot to get into this last segment. But send in those questions at _Cainer at Locked On Vols, and I'll do my best to answer those on the mailbag edition of the show. That's coming up tomorrow. All right, 56-34, Tennessee wins. Tennessee had 504 yards of total offense. That's good. Kentucky had 476 yards of total offense. That is bad. Tennessee threw for 396. That's really good. Kentucky threw for 330. It's not great. Tennessee ran for 108, and if not for the fourth quarter, gosh, Tennessee would have been held under 100 yards in this game, and I know they were throwing it all over the place, but not very good traditional running in this football game. So 108 yards against that Kentucky defense, not good. Kentucky, meanwhile, 146 yards. Not good for Tennessee either. 59 plays for Tennessee offensively, 8.5 yards per play. 73 plays for Kentucky offensively, 6.5 yards per play. Tennessee was 5 for 6 in the red zone, but really 5 for 5. They kneeled it down in the red zone to end the football game, so I don't count that. Tennessee only 1 sack. Tennessee did have 2 takeaways that led to 14 points, so that was big in that regard. Tennessee had 6 tackles for loss. Kentucky only had 3 tackles for loss. Cutter Boley, again, a quarterback that is okay, looked like Joe Montana the other night. I mean, 26-35, 330, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, completed 74% of his passes. Not good. He had Joey Aguilar, 20-26, 396, 3 touchdowns, no pick, and 77% completion. How about that? An old-fashioned quarterback duel between Tennessee and Kentucky. Star Thomas actually led Tennessee in rushing, 64 yards on 10 carries, a touchdown. Deshaun Bishop, 48 yards, 14 carries, 2 touchdowns. Peyton Lewis had a touchdown, 9 yards on 4 carries. Again, I mentioned earlier, 3 receivers got past the century mark, led by Mike Matthews, 107 yards, touchdown. Braylon Staley, 105 yards, actually led by Chris Brazzell, 4 receptions, 138 yards, and 1 touchdown in this football game. Again, Ethan Davis, 23 yards, 2 receptions on that drive before half, and he had that touchdown, which was really, really big. Just not good enough defensively, and you are who you are. It is what it is. Let me go back to read you how those explosive plays set up scores for Tennessee. Let's see here. Aguilar from Brazzell for 35 yards for the first touchdown of the game. The 2 connected for a 47-yard strike to set up Tennessee's second offensive touchdown later in the first quarter. His 24-yard pass set up Staley right before the half. That was good to see. Aguilar got the second half going with a 62-yard bomb to Mike Matthews that found pay dirt. 50-yard reception to Brazzell set up the Peyton Lewis score in the third quarter. 56-yard dart to Staley in the fourth quarter set up the final score of the football game. So the explosives returned, and it usually set the table for touchdowns. It was great to see from this Tennessee offense. So all that's great. Got to flip the script now. Tennessee and Oklahoma. You know it's a big week for Josh Heupel. This game means so much more to him than anybody else. Oklahoma now 6-2, 2-2 in Southeastern Conference play, coming off a 34-26 loss to Ole Miss, a game where they fell behind, 10-3 in the first quarter, and they fell behind 10-3 in the first quarter, and then they tied it 10-10 in the second quarter. Ole Miss got a safety, went ahead 12-10. then got a field goal, it was 15-10, then got a touchdown, it was 22-10. Third quarter, Oklahoma got back in the touchdown within 9 points at 22-13. Ole Miss stretched it to a two-score game, or continued a two-score game, 25-13, and then Oklahoma scored 2 touchdowns back-to-back, making it 25-20, then taking a brief lead at 26-25. The 2-point conversion failed. Starting the fourth quarter, you had a touchdown by Ole Miss to get the lead at 31-26, and then a field goal to stretch it to 34-26, and that was the final score. So kind of back and forth there for a little bit. John Mateer, he's not looked good since returning from his thumb injury. He's just not, but he's going to have a day against the Tennessee defense because you just know that's going to happen. Really, really good player, one of the nation leaders, certainly one of the SEC leaders before he missed a couple of games with that injury. But against Ole Miss, he was 17-31, 223, a touchdown, no interceptions. He had 17 yards on 13 carries and no touchdowns on the ground. Remember a couple of weeks ago, he had like 3 turnovers, only 1 touchdown. I just don't think that he's looked very good since coming back from injury. But hey, that's my thoughts on it. Oklahoma's not been a very good traditionally running football team, but they did have a 100-yard rusher in this football game. Xavier Robinson carried the football 9 times for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's something that Tennessee certainly would have to look out for. And then, of course, Isaiah Sategna, who came over from where was he last year? Isn't he a transfer? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. I thought he was a transfer. I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he was hurt last year. Anyway, he's a really, really good receiver, 131 yards off 6 receptions and a touchdown against Ole Miss. So Tennessee, is going to have his work cut out for it against Oklahoma at home this weekend before the second bye week of the year. Lastly, before we say goodbye, Josh Elander named the head coach of the Tennessee baseball team, and that was really, really awesome to see. Really, really good to see. I think that's the only move that made sense. Danny White did open it up for a national search, but knowing what Tennessee has in these recruiting classes, both for 26, which is set to sign here in a couple weeks, and the 2027 class, wanted to keep that intact. I think the slam dunk easy thing to do was promote Josh Elander, a guy that certainly has earned it. He deserves it. He's been primed, groomed, ready to roll. He's been Tony Vitello's right-hand man. And, we reported at VolQuest that Tennessee interviewed Kevin Schnall on Friday. And so it kind of got down to in the weekend where we thought it was going to be either Elander or Schnall because it felt like it was going to go fast no matter what. But it really felt like he got kicked into high gear over the weekend. And then, nobody knew that Danny White was going to announce that sucker Saturday morning. I mean, I'm in the car on the way around the corner to Union Baptist Church to go to the Fall Festival where my kid goes to enrichment program throughout the week. And I'm sitting there driving down the road, and I'm like, this is the worst fear if you're a reporter, right? When you don't know something's going on. Nobody knew, but you don't know something's going on. You're like, all right, I'm going to have to pull over and drop you guys off, and I'm going to have to get to work. And so that's kind of where I was. But, man, congratulations to him. See if this thing can keep it rolling, the culture, everything that they built that Josh Elander has had a hand in. We'll get more details today whenever he has his introductory press conference, but I fully anticipate the staff staying intact with Frank Anderson, Ross Kivett, Quentin Eberhardt, the director of sports strength and conditioning. Tennessee will have one assistant coach spot open. Will he go in-house, or will he maybe go back and get Luke Bonfield, who left to be the recruiting coordinator at Pitt this offseason? Will he go somewhere else? Those are questions that we're going to ask him today. But I think this is a really, really good move. And just seeing the outpour of support from former players, current players, recruits, we tried to chronicle all that over the weekend. Of course, Saturday afternoon at VolQuest.com. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll have more coverage on Josh Elander being named the head coach of Tennessee baseball, replacing Tony Vitello on Tuesday's Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much. Let's do it again tomorrow, everybody. This is Locked On Vols.